On each side are deep forest dells and ravines, and rocks show up through the ground in every direction, and things in general are slippery, and I wonder now and again, as I assume with unnecessary violence a recumbent position, why I came to Africa. But patches of satin-leaved begonias and clumps of lovely tree ferns reconcile me to my lot. Cook does not feel these forest charms, and gives me notice after an hour's experience of mountain forest belt work. What cook would not? As we get higher, we have to edge and squeeze every few minutes through the aerial roots of some tremendous kind of tree, plentiful hereabouts. One of them we pass through, I am sure, would have run any Indian bayan hard for extent of ground covered, if it were measured. In the region where the trees are frequent, the undergrowth is less dense than it is lower down. Imagine a vast, seemingly limitless cathedral with its countless columns covered, nay, composed of the most exquisite dark green leaf, large fronded moss, with here and there a delicate fern embedded in it as an extra decoration. The white gauze-like mist comes down from the upper mountain towards us, creeping, twining round and streaming through the moss-covered tree columns, long bands of it reaching along sinuous but evenly, for 50 or 60 feet or more, and then ending in a puff like the smoke of a gun. Soon, however, all the mist streams coalesce and make the atmosphere all their own, wrapping us round in a clammy, chill embrace. It is not that wool blanket, smothering affair that we were wrapped in down by Bwana, but exquisitely delicate. The difference it makes to the beauty of the forest is just the same difference you would get if you put a delicate veil over a pretty woman's face or a sack over her head. In fact, the mist here was exceedingly becoming to the forest beauty. Now and again growls of thunder roll out from and quiver in the earth beneath our feet. Mungo is making a big tornado, and is stirring and simmering it softly so as to make it strong. I only hope he will not overdo it, as he does six times in 7, and makes it too heavy to get out to the Atlantic, where all tornadoes ought to go. If he does, the thing will go and burst on us the thing will go and burst on us in the forest tonight. The forest now grows less luxuriant, though still close. We have left behind the begonias and the tree ferns, and are in another zone. The tree now, instead of being clothed in rich, dark green moss, are heavily festooned with long, greenish-white lichen. It pours with rain. At last we reach the place where the sergeant says we ought to camp for the night. I have been feeling the time for camping was very right for the past hour, and Kafala openly said as much an hour and a half ago, but he got such scathing things said to him about civilians' legs by the sergeant that I did not air my own opinions. We are now right at the very edge of the timber belt. My head man and 3 boys are done to a turn. If I had had a bull behind me or Mr. Phyllis in front, I might have done another 5 or 7 miles, but not more. The rain comes down with extra virulence as soon as we set to work to start the fire and open the loads. I and Peter have great times getting out the military camp bed from its tight bolster-like case, while Kafala gives advice until, being irritated by the bed's behavior, I blow up Kafala and send him to chop firewood. However, we get things out and put up after cutting a place clear to set it on. Owing to the world being on a stiff slant hereabouts, it takes a time to make it stand straight. I get 4 stakes cut and drive them in at the 4 corners of the bed, and then stretch over it Herr Luke von Luke's waterproof ground sheet. Guy the ends out to pegs with string. Feel profoundly grateful to both Herr Liebert for the bed and Herr von Luke for the sheet, and place the baggage under the protection of the German government's 2 belongings. Then I find the boys have not got a fire with all their fuss, and I have to demonstrate to them the lesson I have learnt among the fans regarding fire making. We build a firehouse, and then all goes well. I notice they do not make a fire fan fashion, but build it in a circle. Evidently, one of the laborers from Boya, named Xena, is a good man. Equally evidently, some of my other men are only fit to carry sandwich boards for Day and Martin's blacking. I dine luxuriously off tinned fat pork and hot tea, and then, feeling still hungry, go on to tinned herring. Excellent thing, tinned herring, but I have to hurry because I know I must go up through the edge of the forest onto the grassland and see how the country is made during the brief period of clearness that almost always comes just before nightfall. So, leaving my boys comfortably seated around the fire having their evening chop, I pass up through the heavy lichen-tasseled fringe of the forest belt into deep jungle grass and up a steep and slippery mound.